Yeah, so the last two parts of the text here are just giving you some thoughts on philosophy in general. Again, a lot of people have in the modern world have hang-ups with philosophy. It's considered more of a problem than it is a solution. Um, and the same thing with science, right? So how people talk about philosophy in both positive and negative ways is oftentimes how they talk about science in positive and negative ways. And so I'll just close out this part of the podcast by talking about this connection to science, right, that we have in the text. So, most people would say that if you want to look at, the birth of science, you should look at Aristotle, who was the student of Plato, who comes a little bit later in the story here. But, and that's true. I mean, Aristotle does define, science in a very classic way, but Plato is the basis for science as well, and specifically more formal sciences that are using mathematics, okay, to explore things. So science is, physics. Um, Galileo is the great model here. Okay, so Galileo is a Plato guy, a Platonist, right? Or as it's called. So he works with, specifically turns to Plato against Aristotle. Aristotle was the dominant view of the time, right? And so Galileo turns to Plato as in a very sort of basic sense, right? So Plato is looking at sort of different things and approaching things in a different way, even though it's not considered specifically science in an Aristotelian way. So Plato, Galileo has to have Plato in order to do what he's going to do. And what is Galileo going to do? He's going to confirm the Copernican universe, right? That it's not a geocentric universe, but a heliocentric universe. In IH2, you get the chance to read Galileo's Starry Messenger, or Sidereus Nuncius, where he talks about using the telescope to confirm this, but really, he's confirming Copernicus with better math, right? So, and the use of math, an abstraction to see invisible worlds, is something that Plato sets up with his notion of mathematics and specifically the idea of form. So that's just a little note on science. So we can have a discussion, and we will have a discussion about sort of the birth of science as well.